And we're live. Greetings, friends. Happy Saturday. Happy New Year. Red 2 greetings. Eagle Pro 35. Welcome. Top Hat XT says hello. It's good to see you again. Eagles Pro 35 says, how's it going, Antonio? It's going quite well, thank you. And Zoidy Peppers says, Holden. J Lash, thank you as always for the thumbs up. Thumbs ups, plural. And I don't know if you can see, you can't see her. Hold on. Come here. We have a special guest for movie night. I set up a chair here, but you can't really see her. Let's see if we can. There. That might help. There. There she is. She just had a bath, and she's tired. So I don't know how long she'll last here, but if she sits up, you can see her. Welcome. Tonight we are watching The Magnificent Seven from 1960, directed by John Sturges. That name sounds familiar. He pretty much defined the American Western cinematic genre. Any iconic John Wayne film from the 40s and 50s you can think of was probably directed by John Sturges. Zoidy Pepper says, howdy cowpoke, sorry about the spelling. No worries, Zoidy, it's great to have you here. Eagles Pro 35 says, I can't wait to record my Red Dead series. Yeah, go for it. It's a great game. It is a perfect game. The link for Magnificent 7 is in the description of this video. What I want you to do for movie night is open another screen and watch the Magnificent 7 while you listen to this commentary, and we will watch it together. It's available on YouTube for free with ads, of course. How is everyone tonight? We'll start in a little bit. Eagles Pro 35 says, I can't, my PS5 broke. That's bad news. Wish I could help. I do not have a PS5. I have a PS4. We're a team PS4 over here. Don't really feel the need to get a PS5. There's no game that I feel compelled to play that's only available on PS5. There, Sadie. How are you? She just had a bath, so she smells tip-top. Zoidy Pepper says, thank you. I've been playing Red Dead Redemption, and I'm loving it. I got the white horse, lost it, someone blew it up, and got another. I did lucky. Well done, friend. I've been working on the black and white cutscene, and we're going to do a live cutscene commentary in color. Black and whites will just go up without commentary, just because I really like the look of black and white, especially this game. I added a kind of silver tint with I fooled around with the contrast, so we could I really like the look of this. At any rate, are you ready to start the movie? I'll take that as a yes. And we start now. The Metro Goldwyn-Mayer Lion. Sadie's afraid of that roar. At least she was when she was little. Yul Brynner was born in Russia. He's Russian. Vladivostok. But in this movie, he plays Chris, a Cajun. Steve McQueen. Note, both these guys are above the title during the credits. That's something you negotiate for. The Magnificent Seven, as you probably know, was a remake of an English-American remake of The Seven Samurai by Akira Kurosawa, and it was absolutely brilliant for John Sturges to realize that American gunslingers are essentially Japanese samurai, our version of samurai, our version of knights of old, the knights of the round table. We don't have the we don't have the knights and castles or samurais, but we have our own mythology, our own uniquely American mythology of the Old West and the Lone Rider and the gunslinger with a code. And this movie dovetails pretty nicely that whole concept of the Japanese Ronin and the lone gunslinger. Also, this, well, you have to say you have to give it to the Seven Samurai, but this movie pretty much inspired every team caper movie that came along after Ocean's 11. Um, there's so many parodies of this movie. Uh, the Three Amigos. Rebel Moon is basically a retelling of this story in space. So it starts south of the border, south of New Austin, and here come some bandits riding into the village at 2:25. Also note, everything you are seeing is real. There's no CGI. CGI wasn't even invented. These landscapes are real. Those horses are real. Every human being you see on screen was alive and had hopes and dreams and and was real. So these are poor farmers, a poor village deep in Mexico, Santa Poco, if you know the Three Amigos remake. Zoidy, mine's curled up in a ball. I set up her bed on this chair here. And here's Eli Wallach as Calvera. He's the leader of the Bandidos. Eli Wallach, that name sounds familiar. It's because he played Tuco from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And his bandits are raiding the village, just taking pretty much everything. We'll take these pelts too. No, they're definitely not 3-star pelts. Eagles Pro 35 says my channel doesn't have 1,000 subs yet. Well, just be consistent in your uploads. The algorithm likes consistency. Try to offer something of value, something that hasn't been seen before, or your unique perspective on the game. That's what I do. This late in the game, if you subscribe to my channel, you're subscribing for me, for my opinions, and for my gameplay. And Calvera, Eli Wallach, is a philosophical bandit leader. Sadie's asleep now. So much for my movie night co-host. And Calvera promises to be back. He wants more. He wants everything. And that's basically the plot. The villagers are going to go to Texas, hire a gunslinger. The gunslinger is going to hire six more guys, and they're going to defend the village. They're also going to teach the village how to defend themselves. It's a pretty awesome plot. Zoe Pepper says, "What time is it for you, Antonio? It's Sunday. Sleep time for me, but as usual, I can't sleep." It is 7:12 p.m. in sunny Saint Denis. Over here. And you're one day ahead of me. You're living in the future, Zoe Pepper. And Tuco and his band right away. He's got to have at least 40 guys, 40 guns. But they will be no match for our 7 American samurai. And the main problem is these farmers won't defend themselves. They're peaceful farmers, but they're going to be preyed upon by the predators, the bandits. So they have to hire a bandit. And also, this is it's almost beat for beat a retelling of the 7 Samurai. All they did was change the language to English and change the culture. Also highly recommend the 7 Samurai. It's in black and white and also in Japanese, so you have to watch it with subtitles. But it's a great movie. Maybe we'll watch it. Maybe we'll do a commentary on this channel. Eagle Pro 35 says, "I live in Canada." Shout out to Canada, the Great White North. Yes, I have an idea of how we can watch the iconic movies like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and The Hateful Eight, where on movie night. Whereas I watch my copy off screen, and you watch your copy either streaming it or on your TV, and we just forego YouTube altogether. But for now, while we're building the channel, while we're building the live stream audience, we'll just watch YouTube movies together. So they consult the elder, who says, "Buy guns." Eagles Pro 35 says, "I love old movies." Same here, friend. I think that's why you're attracted to this game. This game attracts a certain type of player. Someone wants to live in the past. Micah, greetings, friend. Did you watch the 2016 remake of The Magnificent Seven? I sure did. It's with Denzel and Chris Pratt. It's okay. It's not this movie. It doesn't really compare. So they go south of the border, or north of the border rather, and now we've got a commercial. Jason Statham. Eagles Pro 35 says, "When are you doing more free roams on Red Dead?" Free roam Fridays and Marston Mondays are now live. So tune in on Fridays and Mondays at 7 p.m. PST so you can see John and Arthur riding around. Then on Saturday we do movie night. Then Sunday is dealer's choice, me being the dealer, where we watch a variety of gameplay. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve, and we will be doing a Sunday Sandini New Year's Eve stream. So a bunch of Sandini clips, the mayor's mansion, because I wanted to show some fireworks, and also the vampire and Algernon. Now we are going to meet Chris, as played by Yul Brynner, and Steve McQueen, who plays Vin. Each of these guys thought they were the star of the movie. They didn't understand that they're sharing the role. So you can feel the tension between them. They're almost elbowing each other out of the screen. The character of Rick from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is based on Steve McQueen's character here. Steve McQueen had just come from a very successful TV show, much like Bounty Law, and this was his transition to the big screen. Yul Brynner was an established movie star already. Micah says, I had a 2-hour dental appointment yesterday that made me miss Free Roam Fridays. No worries, friend, but I appreciate you being here tonight, and I hope you are recovered from your dental appointment. And here comes Yul Brynner, the man in black. Note, he's all in black. He has a black hat. He recreated this role for the movie version of Westworld, where he played an android version of this character. And of course, the man in black in the Westworld HBO series is a direct reference of this character. And here comes Steve McQueen. We are at 1305. And they're going to bury this Native American in a whites-only cemetery. And some of the locals do not approve. So they have to run a gauntlet up there. But it quickly, just the economy of storytelling, it quickly establishes just how competent these guys are, their ease with each other, the ease with which they become friends, or companions, or they have a fellowship. But they have this common bond of being outlaws and handy with a cattleman and not afraid of gun smoke. Eagle Pro 35 says, are you doing that stream in the morning? No, we do it at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All the streams are at 7 p.m. PST. And this guy following in the black vest, his name is, that's Horst Buchholz. He's German. He's playing a Mexican because he has black hair, and that's really all you needed in 1960. Named Chico. He will be the youngest member of the Magnificent Seven. O-Dog, greetings, friend. Says, been here on the phone. Appreciate you being here. O-Dog, how's next Saturday look for Beverly Hills Cop? Yes or no in the chat. So they're writing up. And Yul Brynner is just smoking a cigar. Very cool. The essence of cool. He shaved his head for a movie called The King and I, which or well, actually, he started. It was a musical on Broadway first, and then he did the film role, and he never grew his hair back after that. It was a very distinctive look in 1960, and it was, it looks normal now, but it was very unique back then. Um, Shaving heads for men didn't really become popular until I would say the 90s. And finally, Yul Brynner shoots the gun out of somebody's hand just to show you how skilled he is. Vin has the double-barreled. Odog says, no, still got 2 more funerals. Had one today. I'm sorry to hear that, Odog. Okay, well, you tell me when send me an email when you've got time, and we'll do Beverly Hills Cop. We've got a bunch of old movies I can talk about, and we'll you just take care of your family, friend. Appreciate you being here, though. And the 3 villagers who went to town to buy guns have an idea. Why buy guns when they have no skills, when you can just buy the men who use the guns? And what is the year that this is? Doesn't really say in Wikipedia. I mean, it was filmed in 1960. I would imagine it's like 1880. Wodak says, just started Magnificent 7. We are at 1721. If you want to keep up with where I am. Eagle Pro says, I might record and watch one of your videos. Antonio, help yourself, friend. That's what this channel is here for. Also note how skinny everyone was in 1960. Diet was completely different. People were more active. There was no high fructose corn syrup. The stagecoach takes off. And Chris and Vin talk about how they're just drifting around. There's no more action. The West is calmed down and is becoming civilized. There's no more need for men like Chris and Vin. Chico has been following Yul Brynner. At 1926, knocks on his hotel room door. Oh, actually, it's the 3 villagers. Hat in hand. They think Chris is a man they can trust. And we get a commercial. Basically, they're going to hire Chris. And Chris is going to find 6 other guys that are magnificent. And they're going to defend the village. This plot has been done over and over again in so many iterations. But this movie did it first. Well, Akira Kurosawa did it first. But this was the first American movie. So originally, they want Chris's expertise to buy guns. And Chris says guns are expensive. And why don't you just hire men? And he goes, these days, men are cheaper than guns. And the villagers offer Chris everything they own. And Chris says, I've been offered a lot for my work, but I've never been offered everything. Odog says, back in a few, going to get wrapped up in this movie. Yeah, friend, no worries, glad you're here. And Odog says, hey, that's Tuco from Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Yes, it is. Eli Wallach. Chris will also teach these villagers to stand up for themselves, to defend themselves. Something that already should have been inherent in them, but we're at 22:06. And Chris is reluctant. He won't commit to it, but he'll pass the word. He will look around, see if there's anyone worth hiring. So now they're going to audition gunslingers at 22:45. First one that comes in is Chico. He was brought in. Horst Buchholz was brought in for the teen crowd. He kind of looks like Elvis. He has an Elvis vibe. And Chris is going to do the slap test to see how fast he is. It's pretty cool. It is at 23:21. It's like clap as hard, as fast as you can, and as he does it, Chris like pulls his gun out so he catches the gun, and so now Chris says, "Okay, now you do it," and Chico can't do it because he's too nervous. But he's going to be number 7. He's just failing his audition. No worries. Yeah, I suppose I'm spoiling it for you, if it's possible to spoil him. A 63-year-old movie. 64, actually. Happy New Year. So he runs out embarrassed. That's sad, but Chris doesn't mind because he's saving his life. Very young and very proud. And Chris says, yeah, the graveyard is full of boys who were very young and very proud. There's another knock on the door. Who could it be now? And Chris goes behind the door and yells, "Come in." And the door opens, but the man does not come in. Chris looks out. And it's Harry. Chris's friend from New Orleans. He's also down on his luck. And this is the only reference you get to Chris being a Cajun. Harry calls him, "Hey, you old Cajun." Chris's accent, it's just vague and European. It's not American or Yul Brynner's accent. He used that in every movie. That's the way he spoke. Speaks beautifully. It's just kind of Russian, kind of European. It could work for. It's not English, but it's just very unique to Yul Brynner. That's just the way he spoke. In part, just part of his iconic presence, along with his bald head. However, note I believe he has his hat on for the entire movie, so it's just implied that he shaves his head. They don't really show it. Is this Steve McQueen? Can't tell. Steve McQueen is betting his last dollar. At 26:31. At 26:46, the villagers say, "Look at that man with the scars on his face." And another villager says, we want to hire the man who gave him those scars. That is a direct quote from the Seven Samurai, just translated into English. And also, these characters are pretty much based on the samurais from the Seven Samurai. I mean, they act the same way. In the Seven Samurai, this Chris character, Steve McQueen's character, is played by Toshiro Mifune. You may have heard of him. Chris says he's going to take a job in a grocery store. Fella says, "I'm going to make a Cracker Jack clerk." Cracker Jack. And Vince says, "Well, I might have something else for you." $20 for 6 weeks. And Chris is like, "It wouldn't even pay for my bullets." And Chris goes, "But this is not the British sign." He's just saying, now you have two. Now they're going off to find Charles Bronson. The original tough guy. Eagle Pro 35 says, "I like the black and white videos he made." Yes, we're working on chapter 3 as we speak. Chris is wearing chaps. Chaps are essential. And Charles Bronson, his physique kind of looks normal by modern standards, but he was pretty brawny for 1960. He was a strong man. He had that strongman bodybuilder physique for 1960, but now he's just like looks like everybody who goes to the gym. Pretty much every gunslinger they hire has fallen on hard times. And all they can offer is $20 at 30-21. And Chuck Bronson says $20. Right now, that's a lot. Charles Bronson is Bernardo O'Reilly. I believe he was actually Ukrainian, but now he's playing an Irish Mexican. Let's see, Charles Bronson, Lithuanian. He was born in Pennsylvania, but he was a Lithuanian. That's where he got that black hair. And this character, by James Coburn, or portrayed by James Coburn, his name is Britt. He's the knife expert. This character is also based on one of the characters from the Seven Samurai, one of the samurais. And this scene that we are seeing at 31:14 is again a shot-for-shot remake of the Seven Samurai, except they use knives and guns instead of katanas. James Coburn, the essence of cool. Also pretty much responsible for giving Bruce Lee a start in Hollywood. He got him the role of as Kato in the Green Hornet. He introduced him to his agent. James Coburn was a student of Bruce Lee. So now they're setting up the test because the fella can't believe that his knife is quicker than his gun. So they're going to draw. He wants him to shoot the can to his left, and he will throw his knife into the telegraph pole to the fellow's right. And it's close, but Britt says I won. And the fella doesn't believe him, so he says, well, let's do it for real. Britt wants to walk away. Also note that Britt has a gun. He can use a gun, but he'd rather but he's faster with the knife. He's the knife expert. This Joker calls him a liar. Britt just wants to go back to sleep, take a nap. I said you're a coward and a liar at 33:42. Get up, let's do it for real. Eagles Pro 35 says, the reason why I like Red Dead Redemption is because it has Native Americans and I'm Native. Now it's great to know. Appreciate you being here, friend. And they do it for real this time. They set up. They look like they're about 30 feet away. That's a long reach for a knife. But you know what's going to happen. He's like number 4 or the 7 or the Magnificent 7. The 7 Samurai. Harandro, just Harandro. Greetings, friend. Appreciate you being here. Says in 7 Samurai, it was first a fight with bamboo staffs and then escalated to a fight with real katanas. Yes, exactly what I was talking about. And he knifes him in the heart. And Chris just walks away. I guess he doesn't pick up his knife again. Just grabs his saddle. Note, he has no horse. And it's time to move on. And he walks right into Chris and Vin. And Britt and Chris know each other. So Chris says, "Can I have a word?" So yeah, they grab number 4. But he said he wasn't interested. Trust me, he's interested. Harandro, I'm glad you know about the 7 Samurai. It's one of my favorite movies. I was thinking of doing a commentary on it. I don't know how long you've been here, but we were talking about it earlier. Been talking about it a lot. Chico comes back in at 36:07. He's drunk. He wants a second chance. He's going to challenge him. It's interesting because these are veteran gunslingers that are tired of the life. And here's this young kid, this whippersnapper who wants to get into the life, who's so eager to make his name as a fast gun. And they're all jaded. And the villager calls him Campesino, comrade, friend. And he hates that because he doesn't want to be reminded of his roots. And to his credit, he speaks English perfectly. He's bilingual. Chris just turns his back on him. Because he's already read him. And he's just a punk kid who wants to prove himself. But he will prove himself, trust me. No spoilers. He is the 7th member of the 7, the Magnificent 7. And he is one of my favorite characters because he has a happy ending. But right now he's just drunk and embarrassed and he's going to storm off or pass out. You're at 39:03. And Britt shows up. He changed his mind. And now they have 6. No, now they have 5. They've got to get Robert Vaughn next. Robert Vaughn says Lee plays Lee. He's the he's like the Josiah Trelawney of the bunch. He's the gentleman bandit. And we have an ad. For Wells Fargo. And another ad for, I don't know, some movie on Netflix maybe. Yeah, it's, they say it's spellbinding and a superlative dramedy. And it stars Meryl Streep on Netflix. And I don't really think I'm going to be watching it. I really like his look. He's got the vest and the string tie and the black gloves. He's on the run. So a job in Mexico seems perfect for him. It's fun how all these guys know each other by reputation. It's just a shorthand so the viewer knows that they're all competent and they're all unafraid of gun smoke. We are at 40 minutes and 47 seconds. Okay, now they have 6. But the title of this movie is not The Magnificent Six, and it was not based on a Japanese movie called The Six Samurai. Eagles Pro says, no more video, we can't have that. There you go. Hirandro says, oddly enough, Robert Vaughn is also on Battle Beyond the Stars, a 1980 space adaptation of The Seven Samurai. Yes, I was going to mention that. Another shot-for-shot remake set in space, playing basically the same character. Hirandro, you know your movies. I appreciate you being here. Welcome to movie night. At some point, we will be watching Beverly Hills Cop. Next week, we'll probably do another Western, another old Western. I'm not sure what, however. Maybe we'll do Quigley Down Under with Serena Starhearts. I'll check and see if she's available. So now they set up camp. And Chico is following them. And the next day, 4312, we see Chico hand fishing. He can reach in and grab the fish. Now this is visual shorthand to show that he is actually fast. He just kind of froze. So he has all these fish so he can feed those guys. And he's showing his value. So Chris finally accepts him. We are at 43:59. Chris waves them over. Chico waves them back. And Eagle Pro, yes, indeed, that is Arthur's favorite horse, the Silver Dapple Pinto Missouri Foxtrotter, named Biscuit. Back to the movie. We are heading down south, down Mexico way, to quote Frank Sinatra. And now we have 7. So they're going to return to the town, set up fortifications, train the villagers, and wait for the first confrontation with Calavera, the leader of the bandits, played by Eli Wallach. Technically not Mexican, but that's okay. It's okay for 1960, and they're going to just kind of size each other up. So the village is basically just a bunch of adobe huts and then like a really elaborate church. The church is like the only like serious building. Everything else is just built out of adobe and woods. And everyone is afraid of them. The villagers are all hiding. Only the old man, the village elder, comes out to greet them. This also is directly from the Seven Samurai. We should just watch the Seven Samurai. Well, I know you guys like horses. There's horses in the Seven Samurai, and I know we'll watch it at some point. I'll put it in my list in the queue. If you're wondering why I keep reaching over here, there's a dog sitting right here, which you kind of can't see because she's asleep. There she is. She's sleeping. She had her bath tonight. Saturday is bath night. Okay, we are at 46:47. They have rung the alarm. But actually, it was Chico who rung the alarm because he's strutting and bragging and just wants to show his status in the gang. He's standing in the bell tower. He came from a village just like this one, but he left it far behind. He accuses them of being cowards, and essentially they are. You all come running out like chickens. He tries to shame them because he's ready to risk. They are ready to risk their lives for them. And this is really, I believe, this is Chico's first job as a gunslinger. He's all talk, and the old veterans are just watching him, probably remembering when they were like that. Eagle Pro, don't worry about logos. Just make videos. Try to make one video a day for 100 days. Do a 100-day march. I did that. The algorithm likes consistency overall. So just keep uploading videos at probably the same time every day or once a week or twice a week or whatever. Just have a schedule that the algorithm can predict. Now they're celebrating at 4904. And all the kids come out. They're having a parade for them. However, someone's going to notice, well, Chris notices that there aren't any women. Chris says, this is the first town I've been to where there aren't any women at all. And Harry agrees. Spoiler alert, they're hiding the women. Eagle Pro, it's more important to pay attention to your thumbnails. Just look at the thumbnails of the videos you like and the YouTubers you like, and copy those thumbnails. And we have some ads for Vancouver. Shout out to Vancouver. Back to the movie. Charles Bronson is carving a flute. He's going to make friends with one of the little kids in the village, but he's not, there's nothing sinister about it. This is a different time period. It's just shorthand to show the innocence of his character and how he's a good man that does bad things. Leroy, greetings friend, says, hey everyone, I haven't been showing up lately, but I made it today. Just got off work. Yesterday's stream, I was still at work while it went live, so oops. No worries, Leroy. And look, we've got Sadie down here. I set up a chair for her. You can't really see her. She's trying to sleep. She just had her bath. So, Leroy, we are at 51:17, about halfway through the movie. The Magnificent Seven. Link is in the video description below if you want to catch up with us. Yeah, I believe Yul Brynner never takes his hat off in this movie, so you don't really... I mean, you can tell that he's bald, or that he shaves his head, but you don't really acknowledge it. Miko, greetings friend, says, hey Super Antonio and everyone, happy weekend and advance happy new year. Just listening in the background while I clean up my aquariums. Well done friend, appreciate you being here. Happy new year. Shout out to the Philippines. And how tall was Lee Van Cleef? Let's look him up. Or how tall was Yul Brynner? Yul Brynner height. He's only 5'8". Wow. He's got like long legs and he takes these long strides, that just makes him look like just long and lean, and there's Sadie girl. There. Miko, Sadie got up for you. Just makes him look like he's 6'3". But I believe he had some dance training, so he was a dancer. So he moves like a dancer, very graceful. Yeah, Leroy. I see her, Leroy says. Filled out an application for Bonnie, so I'm just waiting for them to prepare her and make sure she's healthy. Super excited for her to come home. Leroy is fostering dogs, which is a great thing to do. Eagle Pro 35 says, I'm 6'3". Well, you should move like Yul Brynner in this movie. Just long and lean, but with economy and grace and basically the essence of cool. Leroy says, 6'4" here. We got some tallies in the chat, Sadie girl. Don't scratch, it's rude. Miko says, hello, Sadie. My dogs Bella and Tintin say hello, hi also. Tintin is available on YouTube. We should watch Tintin. I like that movie. I like the cartoon. I like the comic. Maybe we'll watch Tintin next week if we can't watch Quickly Down Under. And there's the boys are sneaking around at 5410, reconnoitering the village. And Chico sees something. Now the villagers are doing a traditional folk dance. Don't scratch, you just had a bath. People are going to think you have fleas. She doesn't have fleas. She just doesn't like this collar that I insist that she wears. Leroy says, Junebug and Calypso also say hi. They're doing some dog puzzles right now by my feet. Yes, it's important to keep the dogs occupied. There. Okay? Better now? Stop it. Just sit here and comment on the movie. Tell the viewers, tell the chat, tell them what you think of the movie. She doesn't like it because there are no dogs in it, I believe. Eagle Pro 35 says, hey Antonio, can we see the video where you get the warhorse? You can search my videos for Ardennes. I have a lot of videos on Ardennes, and especially the Iron Gray Ardennes. And Chico and Britt take down an advance party of Calveris's men. I also should mention that Lee, Robert Vaughn, freezes, though they don't notice, because he has he's lost his edge. Eagle Pro says, tell Sadie I said hi. Eagle Pro says, hi, Sadie. What do you think of that? Are you just going to settle down? Say hi back? What are you going to do? What's happening? Tell me. Okay, look in there and say hi back. Look in there, right there. Right there. Over here. Over here. She's trying. Now they're training the guys at 5706. Squeeze the trigger. They also have carbine repeaters. So they have, doesn't look like they have a bunch of guns. They've got, it's like they'll probably double their force, but the guys they've got, their training are not the best, regrettably. But they're farmers. They're not warriors. We're at 5802. Also, they took the guns from the Calveris, the Calveris advance party, scouting party. Now they are fortifying. They're building walls. I believe they will build traps. Again, this is This is shot for shot from the Seven Samurai. This is exactly what they do. Harry's trying to figure out what the action is here. Is there a secret gold mine? He's convinced that Chris is here for a reason other than the villagers. That there's a bank, or there's a gold mine, or there's treasure, buried treasure somewhere. He can't imagine that they're there actually to defend a village, to shoo some flies away from a village for $20 for 6 weeks. He thinks that's just the cover story. And you know, if they like took this a step further and raided Calveris's, I don't know where he's set up, he would I'm sure they could take all of his stuff. Chico finds a bull, and he's going to just kind of play with a bull and pretend he's a matador with his vest. Bullfighting and matadors were very popular in the 50s and 60s, mid-century. Again, it's funny. He's German. His name is Horst. But he's playing a Mexican here because he has black hair and he kind of looks like Elvis. He didn't have a great career. What else was he in? Where's his film? Well, actually, he was in a bunch. A lot of foreign movies, French and German. Aces, Iron Eagle 3, but nothing like That Man in Istanbul, Johnny Bravo, Johnny Banco. Charlie's Angels, Season 3, Episode 3, and Logan's Run, the TV show. Raid on Entebbe. Looks like he's transferred over to TV in the 70s. Yeah, he worked consistently, but this is one of his biggest movies. At any rate, at 1 hour and 15 seconds, he's still playing with the bull. And he is going to meet a young lady, because they've hidden all the ladies in the village from these scary, evil, and desperate men. Because they don't trust him. However, spoiler alert, this girl he meets, this senorita, is going to fall in love with her. Because we also, you know, it's like John Sturges is following a formula here. And yes, we have action, we have good guys, and we have bad guys, and we have horses. But you also need a little romance. So why not use Horst Buchholz for that? And he finds this senorita who's dressed as a young man, gives him a slap, and he's like, "Hey, calm down. You're kind of cute." She's a wildcat, threatens to bite him. and he throws her over his shoulder, and takes her back to the village. It was in 1960, after all. The villagers are building a trench, and Horst takes this lady he found back to the village. Note that Charles Bronson has his shirt off. He had a great physique for 1960, even a great physique for 2024. There at 102 is probably the first and only scene of Yul Brynner without his hat, where you can see his full ball to glory. Can you hear Sadie? She's chewing on her antler. Eagle Pro, the link to the movie is in the video description of this video. If you want to watch, we are at 103.31. On Saturdays, we do movie night, where I do comments on the movies I'm watching. And this movie is entitled The Magnificent Seven. Yeah, Saturdays are not technically a Red Dead Redemption night. We just kind of use Red Dead Redemption 2 in the background. But we are here to watch a movie. Then Chris notices that they're eating really well at 104. And he wonders how the other villagers are eating. Odog says, good so far. Yeah, we're coming up to the first confrontation with Tuco, or as he is known in this movie, Calvera. Odog, I'm glad you're back. Glad you're hanging out. Appreciate you being here, friend. Always remember this channel, and I and Sadie and Arthur and John are always here for you. We're not going anywhere. And Charles Bronson points out that that the villagers are offering them the best food, and all the villagers get are rice and beans. So now they're sharing with the village. Again, this is directly from the Seven Samurai, and also they're just kind of showing that they're good men, that they have honor. Another montage of training the villagers. And Chris notices the village women washing in the stream. Villagers are getting better. But again, it's a montage. Squeeze. Squeeze the trigger. Take your time. Don't waste the bullet. And we have a villager named Flacco. We know what he's doing after this movie. Setting up more traps. Got a giant net to catch horses at 106.34. And we're talking to the old man, the village elder, one more time. Chris and Vin. Chris obviously is the leader, but Vin is kind of the co-captain. They want this scene also that we are at 107 is directly from the Seventh Samurai. The village elder lives outside of town, and they want him to move into town so they can protect him. And the village elder is like, I've lived here all my life, and I'm not going to move. And the elder's his logic is bullets cost money, and he's no threat. So why would Calvera kill him? Hirandro just says to Eagle Pro, it's the Magnificent Seven. I think they made another adaptation in 2016 with Denzel Washington. They did indeed. It's okay. It's not this movie. It's a modern Western, whatever that means. They updated the characters. Well, Denzel's black, so Chris is black, and they've got like a Native American arrow specialty. I think he plays Brit, the Brit character. And Chris Pratt has the Steve McQueen role. And Dev24, thank you for subscribing. Appreciate it, friend. We're over 17K, I believe. Let me check. We're at 17,001. Dev24, you were the 17,000th and first subscriber. Appreciate it, friend. Got us over the hump. And at 109.30, finally, Eli Wallach as Calvera returns. He's wearing a red shirt with a bunch of guys, at least 40 guns. Look at all those horses. And the village kids are signaling. They're like waving their hats, like the fires of Gondor, so they can get an advance warning system of Calvera showing up. And the village women washing in the river, and the cute girl that Chico likes. So they've got to hide. Chris gets the alert. So now they got to set up. This is the first run at 1:10:38, where they're just kind of feeling each other out, assessing the threat level. Calvera's going to come in business as usual. Where's my tribute? Also, Hirandro, also the Three Amigos with Martin Short and Steve McQueen and Chevy Chase. That's basically this movie, except it's 3 guys, not 7. That would also be funny to watch. In that movie, The Three Amigos, this village is called Santa Poco, or Saint Chicken. Hirandro says Silverado is also a fine Wild West movie. Yeah, I wonder if it's available on YT. Okay, well, someone look that up for me. Hirandro, look that up if you're near a computer, or ODog. See if it's available free with ads. But I can't talk about it right now because Calveras has just arrived. I should have guessed when my men didn't come back. How many of them did they hire? How many of you did they hire? And Chris says, enough. Just an economy of words. He lets his guns speak for him. Note that Tuco has a gold tooth. Tuco notices the walls that have been built, and he says, they won't keep me out. And Chris says, they were built to keep you in. This is kind of based on a scene from the Seven Samurai where Tuco is like not impressed. There's only 7 of you. The villager's too cheap. It's 7 against 40. Vin has the great line, "We deal in lead, friend." And Tuco says, "Why don't we partner up?" Because they're both bad men. But we ain't them. Tuco has a great line here. Sheep are meant to be sheared. And we are the wolves. If God didn't want them sheared, he would not have made them sheep. And Chris tells him to ride on. But Calvera, he has to be strong, especially against his men. He has to put on a brave face. He's trying to intimidate the village because these guys at some point will have to move on. And Calvera says, "Generosity, that was my first mistake. I leave these people with a little bit extra, and they hire these men to make trouble." And he has my favorite line, "Sooner or later, you must answer for every good deed." And the gunfight starts. They just start blasting. Britt overturns a table. Classic gunslinger move. Even John Wick does it. So they're riding around. Calveras' men are riding around, getting picked off. Robert Vaughn's character, Lee, is pretty much just hiding, not participating at all. But he's, his reflexes aren't good anymore. He's kind of froze. He freezes up. He's traumatized. And the villagers set up like a maze of fences to to slow him down and keep him trapped, keep him moving. Keep him panicked. And horse buckles, Chico's technique, where he kind of like shoots and throws the bullets. Pow, 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 which isn't really, it's a very Hollywood mid-century way of fighting or shooting that doesn't really work, but it's very cinematic. Just the snap, the wrist snap, which would probably just break your wrist if you tried to shoot like that. But in many ways, it's just as stylish as the gangster way of shooting that they do now. It's just the the 50s version of it. Pa-pow! Okay, they ran away, but they'll be back. And we are at 116. Robert Vaughn finally relaxes. He's going to come out and pretend that he participated. He kind of struts out. The villagers feel a lot better because they defended themselves. And Chico, this is probably the first time he's actually been in an actual gunfight, so he's relieved. Chico's doing the old Mexican hat dance. And he's drinking. He's celebrating. But there's no reason to be celebrating right now, because that was just the first wave. We are at 118.22. And Chris is coming back just to tell everyone to calm down. It's not over. The villagers offer him a celebratory drink. It's not Guam or rum, I'm sure it's tequila. You will live forever in our hearts. Who's firing at them? Chico draws their fire so that they can see where they are. Everyone else stays in cover. Cover and conceal. Calveras' men are hidden in the hills, firing on the village. Steve McQueen runs up, and they provide covering fire at 120. It's an ensemble film. I mean, everyone gets their moments of heroism and you know, a time to shine. Charles Bronson has a bunch of little kids following him, these 3 little boys who've kind of adopted him. Again, just to show his gentle nature, his gentle character, even though he's a violent man in a violent world. But kids like him. We're at 121.55. Still trying to get those guys in the hills. Steve McQueen is sneaking up with a villager, and he has his trusty carbine repeater. Good old Lanky. The villager asks him, do your hands sweat before a fight? And Chris chuckles and says, every time. Steve McQueen went on to be an international movie star after this role. This propelled him into. He became a movie star after this. Also, the essence of cool. This is the career Rick Dalton wanted and was trying to emulate in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But then he got into the Italian westerns like Clint Eastwood. I haven't really talked about the iconic soundtrack of this movie by Elmer Bernstein, who wrote a lot. He did a lot of movies. You may have heard. He did the theme for The Great Escape. You may know that movie. Dun, 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 dun. Also starring Steve McQueen. And the girls here too at 124. It's like following Chico. She asks, "Does it hurt?" and caresses his cheek. Who is that girl? Let's see. Oh, it's Rosenda Montero as Petra. Petra is a pretty name. Rosa Mendez Loza. She died in 2018. Known professionally as Rosenda Monteros. Was a Mexican actress. And, let's see. This is probably her most famous movie. I'm not seeing anything in her Wikipedia. She did a lot of Spanish movies. And she was married to director Julio Bracco. At any rate, they're kind of falling in love. But Chico doesn't want this life. He left a village just like this, and probably a girl just like her. And Chico tells her to go back to your father. We are brutes. We are cruel men. And Petra doesn't believe she's taken. I mean, it's Horst Buchholz, after all. He kind of looks like Elvis. And again, like I said, this is John Sturges, the director, is following a formula. And amidst all this action and horses and heroism, you also need a little romance. But you can't have it with these older guys because they're like hardened gunslingers who who need to stay free and have burned all their bridges. So we got this young guy, Chico, and if we can persuade him to leave his guns behind, meet a nice girl like Abigail, settle down in a nice village, that's a good thing, because the age of the gunslinger has passed. And these men will drift into legend. Jesus Ariola says, Salute, hail Jesus, Happy New Year, appreciate you being here. We are watching the Magnificent Seven tonight. It's movie night, and we are at 1:26:49. The link to the video is in the description of this video. It's available for free on YouTube, so if you want to catch up. I think now they're just going to take inventory of how many bullets they have left. Chico's still hyped up. Britt got him a new hat because his old hat got shot off. It's a sombrero. It's a bandit hat. Chico says villages like this make songs about everything that happens, and they sing them for years. What was I saying about these guys drifting into legend? But right now it's a quiet moment before the final confrontation. They're all confronting their own mortality and the fact and their life choices, their lifestyle choices, and how they ended up here at the ends of the earth. And they were these big time gunslingers. And but it all ends up they all ended up in the same place, where Chris just points out, or Vin points out, that they have no prospects, no family, nothing to hold you. Vin also points out, men you step aside for, none. Insults swallowed, none. Robert Vaughn says, enemies, none. So they're just listing the pros and cons of their lifestyle choice. And Chico is just like, sign me up. This is the life I want. Whereas the Olders are regretting the life they took. A to the B to the Z, aka Donut Lord. Now I want some donuts. Fun fact, the horse with the red saddle in We Loved Once and True is a cut horse model called the Standard Horse. It appears in some cutscenes. The only time the model appears is in Motherhood. Okay, that's good to know. Appreciate it. We're watching The Magnificent Seven right now because it's movie night. And we're at 1:29:53. Calveris's men are having second thoughts because this is the first time they've encountered serious resistance from actual competent professionals who can defend themselves. "14 viewers, welcome to the chat. Appreciate you being here. It's movie night. We're watching The Magnificent Seven. Link in the video description. We are at 1:30:13. The Calveris's men are talking about how many have died, how many men they've lost, all their friends. Note some of these guys have the twin bandoliers like Flacco. And Calveris says, they're all dead. Forget about them. There's still plenty of us. We'll make them pay. Robert Vaughn as Lee is having a flashback to the Civil War, completely freaked out, traumatized. Probably, I'm sure he has PTSD, undiagnosed PTSD. We are at 131. And it was pointed out earlier, he plays basically the same character in Battle Beyond the Stars, which is just a Star Wars ripoff remake of this movie from 1980, 1982, around there, from the 80s. I wonder if it's available on YT. Battle Beyond the Stars. No, we can buy it. 7 mercenaries are recruited from throughout the gallery to save a peaceful planet from the threat of an evil tyrant. Yeah, see? Same difference. And Robert Vaughn pretty much just confesses to the villagers who woke him that he's lost his nerve and he's just waiting to die. And he took this job just so he could die. To die with honor. Then he catches the flies on the table to show how fast he was, but there were 3 flies. Villagers are impressed because he caught 1. But in his time, in his day, he could have caught all 3. The fly scene, it's 133, it's famous. And the villagers point out that they have lived with fear all their lives, and only the dead are without fear. That thought is somehow a comfort to Robert Vaughn as Lee. And here comes someone looking for Rico, one of the little kids. That's cute. They're calling Charles Bronson Bernardo now because they've kind of adopted him. And even Vin points it out, you've been adopted. Charles Bronson says, yeah, his name, he's Mexican on one side, Irish on the other, and me in the middle. Again, he was Lithuanian, but he had black hair, and it was easy enough in 1960s Hollywood to pretend he was Mexican Irish. Harry's at the bar, or the cantina, and he's trying to find out if there's any mines in the area or buried treasure. And he's trying to play 3-card Monte with the villagers. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. There are no treasure maps or mines. This is what we got. This is the job. But Harry is convinced. Harry needs convincing otherwise. One of the villagers mentions Aztec treasure from when the Spaniards were here. And they just laugh at him. And Chico snuck into the camp. He's got intel. Calvera isn't worried about the winter. He's worried about the food his men haven't eaten for the last 3 days. Chico we are at 136. Pretty much tells them that they got to keep on fighting because Calvera's going to die. Or has only two options: die or win. I've loved these old movies with like clearly defined good guys and bad guys and goals. You know, it's like we have to defend this village from these bad men and the subsequent bad men that may follow. And there's only one way to do that. You can't negotiate with them. Also note that the filmmakers are all veterans. They're all like veterans of World War II. They're very comfortable with these clearly defined roles of good and evil. And not just the filmmakers, the actors, you know, it's like everyone pretty much lived through World War II at this time in 1960, and it defined them. You know, they've lived through hardness. A lot of them have seen death firsthand. Some of them have actually killed people. And that verisimilitude just adds a level of authenticity and realness to movies like this that we just don't have anymore. Jesus Arreola is eating a fajita quesadilla. Sounds good. I hope you brought enough to share, because I could really use one right now. Vin calls a meeting of the 7 where they gotta lay down a final strategy. Their original strategy was to make Calvera move on because this village was too dangerous. It was protected. But now they realize that Calvera can't or won't move on, that he's committed to taking this village. So that changes the game for them. Harry says that the odds are too high, much too high. You know, some of them are thinking about going. Of course, Chris is not. Chris is like, let's lower the odds. Chico's at 139 is bragging to the girl, Petra, about how he kind of snuck into camp and found the intel. Petra's completely smitten, just with how brave Chico is. Up, up, up. There we go. Up, up. Ugh. Set up a chair here for Sadie. And I put her I put her bed in there so that she can like hang out and have movie night. There's a commercial that we were skipping, and we were back at 140. Odog, if you are still with us, knock on wood, note how the streams are not crashing anymore. We are past the 1 hour mark. Earlier on these movie night streams, the streams always crashed. Hated that. So embarrassing. And Chico's trying to convince himself and the girl that this life is not for him as a farmer, as a peasant. Am I the man who would live in this? And the girl just keeps moving closer and closer because she just wants a kiss, and Chico's trying to convince himself that he's just going to move on with Chris and Vin. But you know what's going to happen if you are at 141. Jesus Areola says, what is your favorite Mexican food? I don't know. Quesadillas are good. Enchiladas. Probably enchiladas, I would say. Nachos are more of an American Mexican food. And I love nachos, of course. But I don't know anyone who does. Does not. I like guacamole. That's Mexican. I'd say enchiladas. I like the sauce. $141, Chris is motivating the villagers. Now they're riding off. Probably to do some reconnoitering. We are at 142.31. Filming at night. Night scene. Fun fact, for a lot of these night scenes, they were actually filmed during the day using a filter, so it would appear night if they weren't like on a set. And I think they're on a set here. I can't really tell. But again, it's digital. It seems as if Calveras' men have left. Or have they? Is it a ruse? I suppose we'll find out. We have about 20 minutes left in the movie. And the boys ride back, and Calveras has taken over the village. His men are everywhere. He has turned the tables on the Magnificent Seven. And he's got the drop of them. All of his guns are pointed. He's got men on the roof, men in every building. And Calveras is going to let him leave. Says to Vin, sit down, let's talk. We're at 1:45:02. This is Eli Wallach's big scene. He's pretty much acting just like Tuco. And Calvera says he's being practical. He has to let him go because they've got dangerous friends up north. And if they hear about them being killed, they may come down and make trouble for him. And yes, I'm kind of talking to you, but we're talking about the movie. And when the movie's over, then I will take care of you. Jesus Ariola says some enchiladas are really not Mexican here in the USA. Go for the red enchiladas. Those are the real Mexican. They are rolled and the sauce as well. These are the real Mexican enchiladas. Yeah, those are the ones I like, the red sauce. However, they have to disarm themselves. They have to leave all their weapons behind. And Chris says, what about these people? And what happens to these people will happen to them whether I kill you first or not. Dogs do this spin around before they settle down because in the wild they were tapping down grass and looking for snakes. Now there's no grass or snakes, but they still do it. Chris agrees. They're outnumbered. They're outgunned. They've got to do it. They've got to ride away. And because he's the leader, everyone follows. Eli Wallach is looking smug. Steve McQueen has a great line where Eli Wallach is asking, why did men like you take a job like this? And Steve McQueen says, well, you know, I knew a fella in old El Paso, I'm paraphrasing so I can say it fast, and one day he just took off all his clothes and jumped into a pile of cactuses. And everybody asked him why. And he said, seemed like a good idea at the time. Chico tries to draw his gun on Calvera, but Vin is too quick and catches his hand. Chico defiantly throws his gun belt on the table. The 7 are defeated. The end. No, there's about 20 minutes left to go. No worries. There's no way we would let Calvera win. We would in a modern movie where good is bad and bad is good, and there are shades of gray, but not in this movie. But you can't have a conflict without, you can't have like a drama without conflict. And this is the 7 at their lowest. You need something to rise up again. Chris and Vin are talking about how they care about this village now. The peaceful, they admire and envy the peacefulness of it, putting the guns down, finding a place like this, and just living in peace. It's something worth fighting for, worth defending. And it looks like the 7 are leaving. Charles Bronson at 149. His like little pack of little friends come around. There's a commercial now, and they're watching him pack and crying because they they like him and they don't want him to go, and they ask if they can leave with him. Will he take them with him? And of course he refuses. And Charles Bronson, the kids say they are ashamed of his father, their fathers, and their fathers are cowards. And Charles Bronson gets mad and he says, "You think I'm brave because I carry a gun? Well, your fathers are much braver because they carry responsibilities for you, your brothers, your sisters, your mother. This responsibility is like a big rock. It bends and it twists them and it finally buries them under the ground. And nobody says they have to do it. They do it because they love you and because they want to. I have never had this kind of courage. Running a farm, working like a mule every day with no guarantee what will become of it. This is bravery." It's a great line. Also from The Seven Samurai. Odog says, "Great movie so far. Appreciate you being here, Odog, as always. Couldn't do it without you, friend." And Calvera is just munching on probably a tortilla and just or maybe a quesadilla, and is like and tells him to just stay on your side of the border. Now the boys, they're crossing the river. They might be back in Texas. They got to figure out how they're going to rearm themselves, because you know they're coming back. So we are at 152.38. Oh, that's interesting. They were escorted to the border by Calveras' men, who returned their guns. That's ridiculous. So they got their guns back and they're like rearming. Vin's gonna like figure out what they're gonna do. Chico's mad that they betrayed them. Farmers have no loyalty, no honor. All they care about is their precious crops and the miserable dirt they dig in. But he knows that life. He's the son of a farmer. And Chris points out that you come from a village just like that one. That's why you hate it. And Chico finally admits that he's one of them. But he wants to be a man with a gun. He wants to be a man like Calvera and a man like you. Talking to Chris and Vin. Laconic is the word I would use to describe James Coburn. And laconic, I will look it up for you. The definition: a person's speech or style of writing using very few words. Coming up on the final confrontation at 1:54:28. They're loading up. They're talking about how they want to return home, find some clean sheets, sleep in a real bed. Harry says, think of the odds. And Charles Bronson is like, nobody's telling you to go back. Note the repeater toss that that Charles Bronson does. And they are all committed to going back because the movie is the Magnificent Seven, not the Magnificent Six or the Magnificent Five. And Harry is the final one who pretends to ride off, but he comes back because he's not going to let them have all the treasure by themselves. A beautiful, iconic sunrise at 1:55. And I believe they will sneak back into the village. Here comes Vin, the man in black, Yul Brynner. As I said earlier, he recreated this role for Westworld, the movie, and the man in black from Westworld, the TV series on HBO, is a direct reference to him and this character. They're all loading up. Steve McQueen sneaking around at 1:56:36. He sets it off. Pretty much just shooting everyone. Charles Bronson did a really athletic jump onto a roof. James Coburn just pops up and pops down, shows how handy he is with a cattleman as well as a knife. Chico's trying to dual wield a repeater and a pistol. Kind of works, I guess. You want the long distance guns, but it's very cinematic. It's a very cinematic look. And here comes Tuco/Calvera running out in his signature red shirt. A lot of classic Hollywood stunts in this movie. Killing a lot of stuntmen. Steve McQueen took a shot to the leg. Don't worry, he'll survive. They're picking him off from the roof and from the streets. And here's Harry. Chris was pinned down, and Harry takes a shot. But and Harry gets his final death scene where it's a charming scene, which I will. He dies in Vin's arms, and they've barricaded the door to the church, I believe. Charles Bronson has taken a hit, rolls off the roof, and he asks Chris, I hate to die a sucker. We didn't come here just to keep an eye on a lot of corn and chili peppers, did we? There was something else all the time. And Chris admits, yes, Harry, you had it pegged right all along. And Chris says, and Harry asks, "What was it?" And Chris says, "Gold, sacks of it, at least 500,000." And Harry asks, "My cut would have been what? About 70,000." And Harry dies happy because he finally found the truth. But really, it was just for a bunch of corn and $20. And back to the action. That's another classic scene, very cinematic, where Steve McQueen like goes up to a window and just like taps at the glass with his Colt, um, and then like does that signature like gun flip shoot twist wrist flick, which is just it's just as iconic as the gangster sideways dual sideways weld. And Robert Vaughn redeems himself, takes out a bunch of guys. Here comes Tuco sneaking around the back at 2 hours and 37. The villagers are finally taking over, and they're just like attacking people with sticks and spades and chairs. Robert Vaughn gets shot, but he dies happy, his honor restored, dies bravely. And even Petra like hits somebody with a spade. Looks like the Calveras' men are running off. Someone got an axe to the back. And Calveras snuck around the back and tried to shoot Vin in the back. But Vin, of course, turned around and shot Calveras. Now he's dying. Everyone gets their moment of heroism. And finally, at the end of the battle, the villagers come out and take out the last of Calveras' men and just beat him to death with sticks and Calveras says, "You came back." Final death scene. "For a place like this. Why? A man like you. Why?" And that's how he dies, with that question. He just can't comprehend the goodness. But, you know, he was a bad guy, a clearly defined bad guy. And in movies like this, it's very clearly defined. There are good guys and there are bad guys. Britt took a hit. One final knife throw, and then he dies. Charles Bronson grabs those boys and puts them into cover. And as he saves them, he takes a hit. And so we get his death scene. Actors, technically, you know, it's like they like death scenes because, you know, the camera's focused on them, the audience is focused on them. It's their big moment, and also the final moment. And Charles Bronson has a great death scene with all these kids crying. He dies happy. He dies redeemed. This is also a movie of redemption. So I believe only Chico, Britt, and Chris are the ones left alive. at the end of this movie. The only ones that survive. So it's the Magnificent Three now. Chris at 2 hours and 4 minutes picks up Britt's knife and folds it. The only thing close to a katana in this movie. I like to believe that it's a reference to the Seven Samurai, a direct reference, like sheathing a katana. And then this scene is directly from the Seven Samurai, where at 2:05, where the elder bids them farewell. Your work is done, compares it to the seasons. Only the farmers have won. The farmers remain forever. They are like the land itself. You help them you rid them of Calvera the way a strong wind rids them of the locusts. You are like the wind blowing over the land and moving on. Let's move on. And we get the iconic theme song again. Looks like Chico's leaving with Chris. Petra didn't even say goodbye. He's just looking at him right off. She's looking pretty cute as he's shucking corn with the rest of the ladies. And once they get to the edge of the village, they take one look back. Note that Chico's on a black horse. And we get a nice look at Petra again. Chris just looks at Yul Brynner just looks at Chico and says adios. And Chico makes his decision and rides back. Great timing with the video, because we're pretty much at the end. He rides back, and Petra's looking off in the distance and then sees him, and she's happy. It looks like she's with her little sister and her mom and her grandma, who seems to disapprove. And Chico takes off his gun belt and rolls up his sleeve because he's ready to work. Lee Van Cleef says the old man was right. Only the farmers won. We lost. We always lose. And they have dug 4 graves for the ones who died. And the kids are praying over Bernardo's grave as Chris and Vin ride off with that wonderful soundtrack. Final shot of the old man saying goodbye. And that beautiful landscape. And that's the end. United Artists. Ironically, we do not have the end credits in this YouTube cut. That's irritating. What's that about? Really appreciate you being here, friends. We did another movie night. I have no idea what next Saturday's movie is going to be. I'll figure it out and let you know. Tomorrow night is New Year's Eve, and we shall be doing a New Year's Eve stream in Saint Denis. Going to the mayor's mansion, watching some fireworks, looking for vampires, and talking to Algernon. You know, Saint Denis stuff. Not till midnight, just for a couple hours. That will be at 7 p.m. PST. Miko says, thanks for the stream. Miko, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. And then on Monday, New Year's Day, we will have the first Marston Mondays of 2024. Because on Mondays, we Marston. And I'm not sure what we're going to do then. We're just going to, hang out with John. At any rate, we'll be back tomorrow at 7 PST. Appreciate you all being here. Shout out to the mods. O-Dog, you hang in there, friend. We're all here for you. Herandro, you know your movies, sir, and I'm glad you hang out. I'm glad you guys saw Sadie